a trigger warning that this series, if you have seen it already or if you haven't, just to let you know, it has some references to drugs, to violence, all sorts. So if anyone feels like they might be a bit triggered, then feel free to not watch or leave or anything like that, okay? Just want to make sure everyone will be all right. So here you see my cursor. It's so cool. I'm presenting in Canva, by the way. So the opening scene starts in Paris, where Beth gets woken up, right? From, well, not woken up, she's already awake in the bath, but she's immersed in water. She is hangover / still drunk / took some drugs like pills. So she's not in a good state, and she is late from a chess game, which is a disgrace. Well, especially in those times, especially being a female playing within men, it was kind of disrespectful from her to do. Push up some pictures from how they look at each other right there. So she wasn't only late but hangover and still kind of high and drunk. And I just put down that body language and psychology in chess is so crucial. And even you guys, even though if you haven't played a tournament in real life yet, but if you are watching some videos or broadcasts, especially now that there is a big tournament going on, there are some chess players who just give it away instantly. It's so funny. Like, there are different ways people play. Like Beth tends to put her hands like this down in front of her. Other chess players tend to cover their eyes as they think, so like that. And they think, so by covering their eye, the opponent doesn't see where their eye moves on the chessboard as they are thinking. There are so many different like psychological little tricks that people can do. Even all of you know Magnus Carlsen, right? The world champion. He tends to stand up and walk around a lot, so not sit at the table a lot, which can be annoying or like a bit disturbing for the opponent. So there are many different body language and things that you can try and read the opponent, and you can also give away your feelings and emotions and what you think if you are in a winning situation or not. Turkish Bulgar says, I love Nakamura's expressions, right? Nakamura also has super strong expressions. There are videos on YouTube where Nakamura played Magnus. Oh my gosh, both of them like sit like that or like that. So funny. I mean, it's funny, but at the same time, if you think about it, they are not conscious of it. Like, these are our unconscious, subconscious behaviors that they, in the stressed moment or in that moment, I don't think they know how to control. So that's very interesting, that because especially, okay, at a high level, you know, it's a bit different, but when you start out playing chess, I would recommend to pay attention to your facial expressions, and or even better than to hide it if you can't really control it, because how many times it happens that we have, let's say at a real tournament, you are a beginner and you just blundered your queen, but maybe the opponent doesn't see it, so you just give it away by like, oh, like being upset. So that's a very interesting point, I think, there. Anyhow, let's move on. So from the opening scene, after we kind of go straight to Elizabeth's childhood, and we get to know her story a bit more. So we get taken back when she's 9 years old. They are showing instability in her childhood. So her mom is a genius. Like, that's what I understood, is that her mom is a mathematician. She's a genius, but You know what they say, guys, a borderline genius and crazy. Like, there is a very fine line. Have you ever heard this expression before? I'm curious to know what you guys think. But we find out she wrote thesis and like doctorate work about mathematics because they are burning her books together at some stage. Her mom's name is Alice, her dad's name is Paul. There is a scene as well where right around the beginning where we get to know that basically her mom left her dad, or like her mom took Elizabeth away, and like, but then in that scene the mom apologizes to the dad, so I feel like there was nothing, like he was probably a good guy but somehow they fell out, and anyway, so they kind of run around a lot, very unstable childhood, and then an unfortunate car accident, head-on collision with a truck, kills Beth mom Alice. And as they don't know anything about her dad, she ends up in Christian girls orphanage. So the reason I've put on this slide a fish, because I noticed that symbol watching this episode again, where she's at the orphanage right at the beginning, and there is Jolene, who is that girl who is very rebellious but kind of takes her under her wings, which is nice. And they are having lunch and she's like, what's that? And they are like, it's fish, and every Friday we eat fish. So from my Catholic upbringing, I know it's a reference to the Catholic, religion. It's like fasting in a way. So on Fridays you don't eat meat. So that was that reference. Then I left that sign of a mathematic graph, because also when she starts the school at the orphanage, they notice that Beth is excellent at maths. So I found it interesting how they bring the connection between maths and chess. That's always a debate. Are all chess players good at math, or are all mathematicians will be good at chess? In my opinion, no. What do you guys think, if you are still with me? Let me know in the chat. Do you think maths and chess is necessarily correlated, that someone would be good at it, or what do you guys think about this? In my opinion, of course, with the kind of memory and the logical part, of course it helps. But we also can see, actually, even on Beth, that she loves intuition and she plays a lot on intuition. Manu says, I need to translate. Oh, sorry, maybe I speak very quickly. Never mind, don't worry at all. But yeah, Jack444, hello, hi. Probably not. Are you guys good at mathematics? Good or not? I was never excellent at mathematics, but I went ahead. I did it. I passed exams at uni where there was advanced maths, but I never liked maths. So yeah, maths is good for the logical part, I guess. You love math, Turkish Bulgar. Okay. I guess it depends. I'm sure it helps. Yeah, it helps. So Manu says as well, it helps for memory and to be able to calculate. I agree on that. Jack says you like, but you play chess really well as well, so you are a good example. I mean, so in your case, it's correlated. Math is the queen of sciences, says Popotka. That's true. So yeah, definitely it did help Beth with the chess kind of geniusness. And then I left the pills as well there to show that here she gets introduced to these pills, which they say they are vitamins, which is not true. So at the time at orphanages, they used to give tranquilizers to the children so they don't rebel, so they, they are a bit numb. And so that was the drug she got taken, and that was kind of the drug that she got addicted to. We see a lot of addiction. There are different phases as we will go, but yeah, these are the first big addictions she has. Also, she quickly meets Mr. Scheibel, who is the like a helper in the school, and he is the one who has a chess set in the basement. And when Elizabeth goes to clean the what is it, the sponge or the eraser from the board, from the chalkboard, she sees Mr. Scheibel and his chessboard. Did you guys experience at school having to clean the eraser of chalk? Because I will be honest, my generation, we mainly we didn't have much of these chalkboards anymore, maybe at primary school. Turkish Bulgar, Mr. Scheibel is your favorite character. I love that. I think when I first watched the series, I was like so scared for Beth. I just felt like, oh, maybe something horrible is gonna happen here. But actually, once you find out what's going on, like, he is adorable. I agree. Manu says, no worries, Manu. You translate it, take your time. I will always catch up on the comments because it's kind of in front of me as well. And so, yeah, Mr. Scheibel, Jolene, they are both very important characters in Beth's life at the orphanage. Absolutely. Turkish Bulgar says the same thing. No worries, guys. Take your time. Honestly, no rush. And oh, sorry. Here, so what I noticed when she arrived as well to the orphanage is she gets a bed right next to the toilets. So they're like, this is your cozy spot, and it's the bed, Law's bed, right next to the toilets. Like, it just shows that as much as they are, of course, taking care of children, but these children sometimes live in crazy circumstances. So that was interesting to see. And another interesting thing I noticed, I don't know, guys, if you were thinking about this, but when they get given the pills, she always swallows them without water. And like later on, she kind of collects a few days worth and takes them all together. And I'm always thinking, I can't take pills without water. How are you with that, guys? It's just an interesting insider kind of thing, but or like a behind the scenes question that came up for me. For me, it was like, no water and she takes all those pills. That's pretty hardcore. So yeah, once she's at the orphanage at night, she dreams about childhood memories. That's when her dad comes up, and her dad calls her Lizzie, which I like a lot. But then her mom says she doesn't like to be called Lizzie, which I guess it was just kind of a fight between adults, and she just witnessed it all, which was, from a psychological point of view, like, yeah, not easy watch for sure. Manu says he needs water also. I know, I'm the same. I agree 100%. And yeah, so also there was a quote that Jolene says where most of us are lifeless, been here a long time. We are too old or too black. And I found this very interesting, how the racial injustice even back then, of course it was at the height. So yeah, I felt so sorry for Jolene. Like, I really love Jolene in the whole series. She's one of my fave characters because she's badass, but she has a good heart. She she's kind of mellow, like she's not a crazy rebellion, yet still at some stage they take her to wash out her mouth with actual soap, and Beth sees it, so that's like a pretty intense welcome for Beth into the orphanage. Okay, let's move on. So, the first chess experience Beth has is the scholar's mate with Mr. Scheibel. So after their first meeting, she keeps going down. She's super interested in this game. She's like, what's this chess thing? So if any of you want to pull up the example of the scholar's mate, when you type !link1, it's gonna come up for you. But I was thinking to just play it quick today on lichess.org. You should be able to see the board. Yeah. So scholar's mate is basically e4, e4, e5, bishop to c4, knight to c6, queen to f3, and d6, and then queen takes f7, checkmate. Now there are a few different variations for scholar, like that. You could do it a bit differently, but that's the version they play in the film. And so Beth gets checkmated in 4 moves, and Mr. Scheibel is quite dismissive at this stage with her. But at night, when she takes the drugs, she sees this situation in the ceiling, and she figures out by herself that, okay, in this case, instead of the queen move, she should just further develop. For example, I think what she does here, instead of the queen to f3, she goes the knight to f3. So yeah, and then in her mind she can see the next moves basically. So next time they play, she actually doesn't eat anymore the scholar's mate, so at least she learned the first lesson. How many of you got scholar mated in your life? Tell me in the comments below. I'm pretty sure, so I have done scholar mate to somebody, and I'm pretty sure when I was 6 or 7 I ate it as well. I'm so sure. If you have never heard about this, then type in the chat !link1, which I will do for you now. And you can open up on lichess.org the scholar's mate option. And yeah, on their next game with Mr. Scheibel, he takes her queen in such a fashion that necessitates resignation as a part of good sportsmanship. Good sportsmanship. Sorry, in the meantime, Turkish Bulgar, I got mated in 2 from my mother. How can you get, apparently scholar's mate 4 moves is the minimum you can do. How can you get mated in 2? I would be curious to know. I'm not saying it's impossible, but maybe, don't know. Anyway, maybe you remember it as it was 2. Not a scholar mate. Okay. All right. Your mom played. That's so cool that your mom introduced you to chess. So for Elizabeth, it was Mr. Scheibel, like kind of like a father figure. For me, it was my dad who introduced me to chess when I was 6. How about you, Manu? How did you meet chess? And also Bapodka or Jack, if you guys are still here. Blind as well. Manu, your mom doesn't play. No one in your family plays. It's so sad. Well, you have the chance to teach them. You can take it upon you to at least teach them the moves and then slowly progress. But so next they don't like it. Blind. I learned Chinese chess before international chess. Wow, okay, that's very interesting. I don't know anything about Chinese chess. Blind, but I'm sure it helped you then to learn the international kind of rules. One day you should teach us some Chinese chess. Absolutely. And so Turkish Bulgar says f3, e6, g. Oh yeah. That's the two moves. So f3, e6, g4, and queen to h4. Checkmate. That's nice. Your mom is a genius. Okay, fair enough. That's the shortest, I guess, in that case. I was wrong earlier. So yeah, after the scholars mate between Beth and Mr. Scheibel, they play again and he captures her queen and he demands that she resigns because he says it's part of good sportsmanship. Now, I had this question before about should you resign if you lose your queen? And what I say is when you are a beginner and you play with similar level players, do not resign as long as there is still a chance. I would say just play the whole game until the end because you learn from every single move, first of all. Secondly, when I teach the kids at school or even just complete beginners, the amount of times they lose the queen early on, but they turn the situation around and they end up winning is incredible. So I always tell them, do not resign, play this game to the fullest. Now, if we talk higher levels, then I would say it's up to you. Of course, if you want, you can resign. Also, levels of Magnus and all those, they would definitely resign unless it was a sacrifice, a queen sacrifice, but in return you win the whole game. That's again a different story. What's your opinion about this good sportsmanship? Should somebody resign when they lose the queen, or what should they do? In the meantime, Blind told us Chinese chess has a piece that can only move in straight lines when there is another piece on the same file and rank. Skips over that piece and onto a square. Okay, very interesting. That's very, very cool. One day we must try it. Absolutely. Jack says, well, depends. I agree. Depends on the levels, depends on the situation, but you would resign if the queen for nothing. But like in the series, this man is teaching the girl, and if I was teaching Beth when she's just beginning, I would teach her not to resign no matter what, because again, with beginners, you just never know. We can try it on Lichess, absolutely blind. One day we must. Turkish Polgar says, in my level, probably it's ok to be playing when you blunder, but not on higher level. Exactly. So everyone knows. So in this case, I didn't really like it how Mr. Scheibels was kind of, and they had an argument. Beth was like, I don't want to resign. They had a big argument, and Beth ended up cursing at him. The funny part is she learned this curse word from Jolene and she didn't even know what it means. I'm not gonna say it now, but so funny that afterwards she goes and looks up the meaning of the curse word and she feels so sorry, and they are not friends for a while, but then Mr. Scheibel forgives her. Manu, Jack says, yeah, if you are a complete beginner, don't resign. And Manu said, I think the same, but when I don't have queen 90%, you resign. Okay, fair enough. Again, depends on the time. So if you play online and you not only lost your queen, but you know the opponent is playing strongly and also you have less time, probably I would resign. But like just as a general concept, especially when teaching kids, I do tell them, do not resign. Later on, when they get better, of course, this can change. So, yeah. After Beth and Mr. Scheibel's argument, they settle it, they become besties again, and he starts teaching her properly, but at this stage she still just plays with black. She thinks she can only play black, like she thinks that's a rule. And the first opening, so the whole first episode is called Openings, which I loved because it kind of takes you through the whole chess, a big chess game, the whole episodes. So first opening she learns is the Sicilian defense with black, and that's the first time she notes that the squares have names, and Mr. Scheibels is reluctant to teach her about that. But if you type !link to into the chat right now, I found a study on Sicilian defense from Lee Chess, so you will be able to check it out for yourself. As I said, I used to play Caro-Kann when I was playing tournaments, but now I'm intrigued by Sicilian defense more. Caro-Kann is way too passive these days for me. I want to learn a bit more tactical, more kind of open situations with black. Manu already got the link, excellent. So it's worth going through it and kind of learning the different variations, especially Manu, if you are gonna play against me and I'm black, because I'm gonna play more of it. And you are so close to beating me, so keep it up. Also, an interesting chess reference was that Mr. Scheibel gives Beth a gift, Modern Chess Openings, a book to help her continue to hone her skills. So when she gets this book, she treasures it like the biggest gift ever, and it's so sweet, and I love the bond that they are creating. And I actually found the first edition of this book, so the picture is on the screen. It looks like this when she gets it, so I love the fact that I found this picture. Any of you have this book by any chance? I mean, since then it has a lot of newer editions. I don't. You see, guys, the thing is, when we used to play chess, we had so many chess books at home, but I'm not living back in Hungary anymore. Also stopped playing chess, so right now I need to invest in some books, but like ebooks, because I want to be able to take them with me anywhere I go. Back in the day it was not even an option, just physical books. Yes, I'm pretty sure you can find it. There will be a newer edition probably, so just look for it on Google. It's the Modern Chess Openings, and it was Richard Clevin Griffith, G.H. White, so two authors. You will find it, I'm sure. Now, what was back then Modern Chess Openings, nowadays we know it would have changed, right? And back then they didn't have computers whatsoever, so it's just very interesting to like, you know, think about. Now we play on these amazing machines. Back in the day, you could either play on a chessboard or in your mind, right? Anyhow, okay, let's move on with the slide. Here, I was thinking if somebody watches who has no idea about chess but just interested to know. So the language of chess, it always fascinated me personally. Maybe some of you were never sure how to write down the moves. But I found these fantastic pictures, so you will see how each piece is referred to. So K, Q, N, B, R, and the pawn has no like letter. And after that, after you put the piece name, then you would put the square where it moves to. So one thing is that the knight, although it starts with a K, but it's gonna be an N sign because when you pronounce it, it's a knight. Any of you Is it for the first time any of you see this, for example? I'm just curious to know. And I always thought about chess as a language. If you think about it, and I always tell this to the kids at school, like, how fantastic is the fact that you can play with anybody from the world. You do not have to speak the same language, but you will be able to play a chess game. It's like a language. So if you speak chess, you have an extra language. Like, I think this is one of my favorite parts about the whole game and about the... Sorry guys, let me close the door quick, because the washing machine... Can you hear the washing machine in the background? I hope not. I hope not. So if any of you isn't familiar with it, have a look, because it's just very, very intriguing to me. So Beth was asking Mr. Scheibel, oh, do the squares have names? And he's like, yeah, but I'm not gonna explain it to you. You can't hear it, good. So he's a bit dismissive about it. I guess, he kind of wants to teach her, but also she has so many questions, so he's a bit like, leave me alone. But yeah, I think it's really, really fascinating to know that chess has its own language. At the end, he teaches her the name of the squares. And then they go through different openings. So they mention Najdorf variation, 11 fish variation. These are interesting things to look up. Now, I didn't link them, but feel free to Google them. And so the Queen's Gambit is mentioned right there. And then Beth, for the first time, checkmates him. And he is kind of shocked, but also happy about it. That's for sure. And then very shortly, Mr. Scheibel invites the representative of the high school chess club. So he is the coach, basically chess coach for the high school. His name is Mr. Gantz. And when he comes, he brings this toy to Beth, like this dolly, but like she immediately puts it in the bin after the man leaves, which I found so funny. And it's kind of a reference of girls were like just to play with dolls, and like she's so not interested. I really like that part. And also this is when she plays the coach and she beats him super fast. And then she plays a simul against Mr. Scheibels and him. And she not only plays a simul, but she even walks away and just says out loud the moves. So she does a blind simul to both of them, which is of course super interesting. And they are both like, what's happening? They both look like they found treasure, which they actually did. And that's when she gets invited to play in the high school team, and they are of course only boys. And she goes on and plays 12 boards, simul. Have you guys ever participated in a simul before? Have you ever seen one or anything like that? Also in the right bottom corner, that's the picture that the coach takes of them, who is gonna write an article about them. So I did just a bit of like interesting research on simul. It's called simultaneous chess exhibition or chess display. Turkish Polgar says, yes, you did participate, but online. That's great. It's so cool they can do it online nowadays. You did it 10 years ago against your teacher. That's so cool. Warrior, hello, welcome. you have seen a simul but never played in any. I remember, so when I was little, we played against Judith Polgar once. She gave a simul. It was really fun, like, because you feel like, oh my gosh, this big chess player comes and, like, you know, touches the same pieces as you do, and like it was just mind blowing. Really, it was. So there are different kind of ways of doing a simul, different rules, but basically the Wikipedia definition says that is a board game exhibition, so it could be Go or chess, in which one player, typically of high rank, such as a grandmaster or very high level player, plays multiple games at a time with a number of other players. Such an exhibition is often referred to simply as simul. Turkish Polgar wishes that he had a chance to play with Judith. Well, you never know, maybe one day. Like, she was always very supportive of children learning chess, so that's why she would accept these, you know, invitations to play against children, because she was, and she still, like, she has books for children. I'm pretty sure her sister has a big chess club in America. Blind will know. Blind, are you in America? In the US, right? But yeah, it's a super fun atmosphere. I have attached some pictures. So the first one is this little guy, and he apparently beat all his opponents. Now can't remember his name, but he was a big chess player. Then we have Magnus with the simul there. What I was looking at that picture with Magnus is that seriously, they left a bottle of water next to every single board for him. And like he would just pick and drink into any of them. I found this was like mental. And one has a cooler and the next one doesn't. I think that's just so, like, that's like this luxury lifestyle, you know? And I believe this was a 70 board simul. That's why I read for Magnus. So Magnus played against 70. Let me type it in. It's mental. Yeah, probably sponsorship deal. That's true, Turkish Polgar. But still, I just found it like, just put up a table and leave 70 bottles there and whatever. Yeah, crazy. And then the last picture is from the film where Beth plays. It's very interesting how she kind of doesn't know what are the rules. So she starts moving. She's with white, right? And she looks back and she's like, why have they haven't moved? When the teacher says that, oh, they have to wait for you to arrive there again when they move. But like the way it looks, and they say it on Wikipedia as well, that in general, it wouldn't be played for time. Now, in Netflix, later on, Beth does play it even for time, which is crazy. So you know, guys, whoever played when I did the simul to celebrate 100 followers, which was great, is I gave myself like an hour and a half, and like my opponents had 15 minutes. So because otherwise, especially with technology, it can be glitching. It's a bit slow. So yeah, but usually they wouldn't play it for time. And yeah, that was super interesting. Now let's move on. Okay, so then what happens at this simul is that she beats everybody, and at the end there is this huge crowd watching. Usually there are big crowds at simuls, and when it's live, it's really, really cool. I hope one day you guys get to experience it. I'm sure in all of your countries they organize this, so watch out for it. And the cool thing is that once we will be able to socialize again, your chess level will be way higher. So that's so cool. So I just extracted some quotes from her as she's telling Mr. Scheibel after what happened at the simul. She's stuffing her face with chocolates because Mr. Scheibel gifted her some chocolates because she was so good. Oh my god, it makes me emotional, honestly, because I'm like, you know, she's an orphan and there is this male who is looking out for her, and I love that so much. So she says, what surprised me is how bad they played. They left backward pawns all over the place, and their pieces were wide open for forks. So I thought to explain this for those who maybe will watch it after and they don't know much about chess. But the first picture shows a backward pawn when our white pawn there, let me just point it out. So the backward pawn is the c6 pawn there, because the white pawn is basically controlling the c5 square. If the black moves there, we take it and we will achieve to arrive to the 8th line quicker. So that's what she means. And also when she says pieces were wide open for forks, a fork example is here. We have the knight, which is checking the king at the same time attacking the bishop. So that's an example for a fork. I know you guys watching live, you know these, but I thought it would be nice to just leave it out here. And then she says also to Mr. Scheibel, a few of them tried stupid mating attacks, but I took care of them. I love the way she says this, like she's so fierce. And I love it, how she's like, you know, she speaks like an expert, which she was already, I guess. And then she also mentions that this boy, Charles Levy, he was supposed to be the best. I had his pieces tied up in 15 moves. I mated him in 6 more with the knight rook combination. So cool. So she didn't even mate with the queen, but she mated with the knight rook combination. So yeah, from a chess point of view, this was like the main thing. Also, though, she's highly addicted at this stage to the pills, and before she goes to the simul, Jolene sneaks her a blue pill, because at this stage, at the orphanage, they stop giving out the blue pill, they only give the green one, and she kind of wants both effect, and apparently the blue one is way stronger. Let me see the chat quickly. Warrior asks, who made this presentation? Guys, I did. I spent about 2 hours making this presentation. I hope you like it. And because I thought it would be nice and more interactive, and I'm trying to cater for those as well, maybe in the future, who join us, who don't know anything about chess, so they can ask questions and understand a bit the references. Thank you, Manu. Manu says he likes it. Turkish Polgar as well. Thank you, guys. I didn't say it to like now be all like I did it, but thanks for asking, Warrior. Yeah, I made it, and actually at the end I will tell you about it. I'm more than happy to send it to you guys after via a Google Docs or something. So I will get you to leave your email addresses. You can private message me with your email addresses. If you would like the slides, I'm happy to send it on. Okay? Because it's, you know, I took the images and like content I took from the internet, so it's not my property. I'm more than happy to share it. But I did create I did create the slides in Canva. So, and that's my last slide actually, is it? Yeah. And it's a quote from her from a bit later on, but I love it, and I love how, so apparently, so first of all, there is a video on YouTube where she, thanks Warrior, where she explains there is a behind the scenes how it was created on YouTube and Netflix. So you just type in Queen's Gambit behind the scenes and it's gonna come up, and they explain how much effort they put into the chess scenes, and that they were filming every single chess scene, even when they focus on the faces, like the players were, like the actors were actually playing the game, like if it was a proper tournament. And because of that, it's just so realistic when it comes to the chess parts, and that's what I love the most. Because, you know, they could have created a film, but with very bad like chess references. And so chess players would be like, yeah, good film, but like that's not really true, or it's not like how it goes usually. But no, they actually did a really, really good job. So I must say I was very impressed by that. um, Saul, hello, welcome. Thanks for joining. We are kind of towards the end of the film club, but so nice to have you. So today we went through episode 1 of The Queen's Gambit, and this quote I love that she says, "It's much easier to play chess without the burden of an Adam's apple." And just to put it into context, she answers this to a reporter when they ask her, "Oh, people say you are too glamorous to be taken seriously as a chess player, like you are too," because she loves fashion and dressing up as she grows up. And that was her answer, and I really loved it, so I thought I would put it in here. So yeah, when it comes to my presentation, that's right here, the end of it. But I would love to hear you guys, what are you thinking? How was it? And did you like it? And all sorts like that. What I will do is I'm going to remove the screen so it doesn't flicker too much. Here I am, a little bit larger screen, hopefully. And let's chat a bit. What was your key takeaways? What did you think? How was it? Also remember, if you put in the chat exclamation mark link 1, let me do it now. It's gonna bring you up an example for the Scholar's Mate, and then link 2, it's going to bring up the Sicilian defense and a few of the lines and variations. Somebody created them on Lichess, so I thought, wow, that's super cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing in the chat what everyone thought of this first episode. Who are your favorite characters? And have I missed anything important? Please do let me know. I'm taking a water break because I spoke so much. Let's see what everyone will say to us. I hope you can still see and hear. The screen shouldn't flicker too much right now, hopefully. Might be lagging though. I'm gonna wait and see a bit more. Who is your favorite character? And if you haven't seen it, then would you want to watch it? Manu says he likes Benny Watts when plays Blitz vs her. So Manu, did you know that Benny Watts' character was actually modeled off Bobby Fischer? So they took in references from Bobby Fischer's life and his style and his approach, and that was Benny's character. At the beginning, at first I didn't know this, but then of course they say it in the behind the scenes videos as well. Apparently the actor, he really, like, I love the fact that all actors, when they are asked in the interviews, they speak so highly about chess and like how dedicated they were to learn the rules. So I thought that was super cool. And thanks so much for keeping me company with this. Don't forget to leave me your email addresses if you would like the slides. And yeah, I'm gonna come with more fun on Twitch. I hope that we get a bit of like, just take our minds off everything in the world and just let's have a bit of fun. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye. Gaming mouse from G203 from Logitech.